Are you ready to read? Like literally read some comics. The Drops of God manga. We are going to do volume 1. Oh my goodness. So this is one of the very rare wine-themed comics in existence. And this one is so popular, it is now an Apple TV Plus show. Season 1 has dropped.
Really?
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Yes. So I'm on episode 3. I've watched episodes 1 and 2. I'm on episode 3 at this point. The show is so they're very different in certain ways. Like the show sticks to the very, very broad strokes closely, if that makes any sense. Broad strokes and closely, but they take a lot of liberties. I think for good in its way. This first volume, I believe, because this series, I think the series might be done now, but it went 40 something volumes, something like that. So this first book, nope, not going to get the copyright on this one. This first book, I want to say, I think in English, it's only just recently come out. Amazon / ComiXology bought the rights to the English translation. Okay. So in a weird way, it's kind of that you can only get it digitally. You can't get it in print. It's only available as a digital Kindle or ComiXology release. But I believe it was the early to mid 00s that this series started. Because you have to remember, these are 40 full-length, 200-plus page graphic novels. Yeah. It's been going on for a long time, which is what manga does. True. And so the gender politics in the original are not where we are anymore, right? There's a lot of things that the show very much corrected that the original manga. Probably the creators of the original manga, it was the furthest thing from their mind. It just wasn't something they were even considering. So for instance, as you can see from the cover, this is our main character, Kanzaki or Kanzake, whatever you pronounce it in a proper, wherever the emphasis goes on those syllables. I'm going to get that wrong. I'm going to say it like I think I hear most anime things said. I'm going to be like, Kanzake. But I don't know if I'm even remotely doing it right. But we're just going to have fun with it today, guys. And mea culpa to all our Japanese listeners. Absolutely. Please write us, tell us none of you that exist at this time. But if you find us at some point, mea culpa.
And by all means, write to us, tell us we're horrible people, but also tell us why we're horrible people and how to tell us why we're horrible.
Share it on share why we're horrible people on social media. No,
please do. Please do.
But so this is our main character, and the show made it a woman rather than. So they made the woman the main character and the man the helper. And this one, the man's the main character and the woman is sort of the helper. So things like that, like I said, the gender politics aren't like horrific or anything of that nature, but they're just, the show plainly made some decisions where they're like, every major character in this manga is a man. Right. And the women are all supporting characters to the men, things like that, where they were just like, let's tweak this a little bit. But by changing that, they also made it like this guy, he's the son of a major wine critic, essentially the Japanese Robert Parker, if there was ever such a thing, and I don't think there was. But because they even mentioned Robert Parker in the manga, so he's not supposed to be Robert Parker, but he's apparently he's a larger than life. He had this kind of influence where the last name Kanzake is like, everyone's like, wait, are you related to this Kanzake? You must be But here's the thing, this kid, he's never drunk wine, doesn't know much about it, doesn't think he even likes it. And the manga begins with his dad having passed away. The kid has to enter a competition with one other potential heir. And a certain number of tests have been pre-made between the two of them. And they have to decide who's going to inherit the estate.
Pedigree competition. Okay.
Yes, a little pedigree, including the wine collection, which is apparently the house and the wine collection. The wine collection being higher valued than the house. Let's put it that way.
I can see that.
So, and the other potential heir is such a pompous little prick that even though the son doesn't actually would not give a shit otherwise, when he realizes who might inherit, he's like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna beat him, I'm gonna find a
good
way.
rivalry. Okay,
exactly. And so he takes on the challenge. In the TV show, they made it a daughter rather than a son, right? And she is French and the dad is French rather than Japanese. And he just wound up establishing himself. He was a very big winemaker and wine critic, and he was big in Japan, and the other potential heir is Japanese, the one the daughter has to go up against. So they kept that true to the manga, but then made everything else, they're like, let's make it a little more international by bringing in a European protagonist rather than just making everyone Japanese.
I mean,
so one of the main characters is Japanese, and the other one is, not only did they switch her to female, but then made her French as well to sort of open up that whole thing. And then the people who mostly are helping her out are men rather than vice versa, where in this case, it's like it's him and like a lot of the people that are helping him out are women. So it's like they flipped that on its head a little bit, which I do think is for the best. The show is quite good.
Okay.
I've only watched 2 episodes. And like any show, 2 episodes in, I'm like, all right, it's good, but I don't think it's found its feet yet, so hopefully it'll have the time to do so, or we'll see where the story goes. But anyways, we're just going to read chapter 1 of The Drops of God. That is 50 something pages of manga. And so that's almost like a quarter to 1/5 of this first volume.
Yeah.
So that's enough. We're just going to do that. But, would you like to be, we're going to flip it up. You're going to be Kanzaki in this one. You're going to be the main character, Dallas. I'm going to be Miyabi, if I'm remembering her name right. These are kind of the main 2 people. We only meet the rival on the very last page of chapter 1. So no one has to be him. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I too loud or something?
No. You're good. You're good.
Okay. But yeah, so you're gonna be this guy. I'm gonna be Miyabi. You'll see her when we get there. I think we might even meet her first, and then Kanzaki enters after. But he's actually the main character. And then the other characters, we're gonna kind of wing this one, guys. Where we're just gonna kind of see how this goes. Drops of God, Volume 1, story by Tadashi Agi, art by Shu Okimoto. If I'm pronouncing any of that right. But here we go. As you can see, there are 8 chapters here, but it only goes up to a little over 200 pages, and chapter 1 does go to page 55. So it's the fattest, thickest chapter. It's all intro, so it makes sense. But here we go. And don't forget, this is a manga, folks, so it is right to left, and this is still in its proper right to left. So, into a glass as delicate as thin ice, the liquid flows like melted rubies. And I'm going to say right here, before we even go any further after panel 1, this is everything that people love and fucking hate about wine.
Yes.
Let me tell you, this manga is all about the pretension in the wine world. Now, as the manga goes on, it does disassemble and take down a lot of that pretension, but it leans into it quite a bit. And in great manga fashion, where everyone is posturing and everyone is larger than life, and like the embodiment of something or another. Like every character is this, right? Like every fucking character. It is pretension squared. It is pretension squared personified. So yeah, get ready for that. There's an element of that I had to like squint at and like, buckle in for. But it is a lot of fun. It is still a manga, like a manga should be, and it is mostly just a shit ton of fun. So here we go. Yeah. Pouring in only a slight amount, too little for the size of the glass, the sommelier says. Please have a taste. You turn the glass gently, letting the liquid commingle with air, and a splendid aroma wafts up to tickle your nose. For a moment, it's like you've been handed a lovely bouquet. Unable to suppress your impatience, you hold the liquid up to the candlelight. I feel like I'm doing, what do they call those videos? The ASMR video. ASMR. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing an ASMR video. Yeah. Here we go. Bright purple like old rose. The edge is already tinted orange. You take a slow sip. No, this is no flower bouquet. This is more complex. Why, it has the scent of 100 flowers in it. 1990 Domaine de la Romanie Conti, Richembourg. Richibor.
That's hilarious.
Number one, the scent of 100 flowers, as we just said. All right, we're at a little bit of a restaurant. We see a menu. Here is Miyabi, 2003 French wine by Yutaka Kanzaki. That is the big guy.
Mm-hmm.
DRC's Richebourg, 1990. 180,000 yen. That's a month's salary. Oh, well, what can I do? I'll just have to hold back until I'm a qualified sommelier. And here's Yutaka Kanzaki. Kanzaki, I bet a famous wine critic can have his fill of DRC. Cheval Blanc and Margot, maybe Henri Gère too. Miss Shinohara, a wine order has come in. Are you all right? What? What brand? He asked if we had any Romani Conti. We don't, actually. Oh, but it's so famous. Hey, look, part-timer. This is what we're talking about. The price is listed here. The number of zeros, 100, no, 1,000,000 yen? For real? Well, 1,000,000, Well, 1,000,000 is a pretty fair price for a 1985 vintage. So what's the customer's budget? He wants Romani Conti to cost less than 100,000. Oh, I see. Light bulb. The customer must think that Romani Conti is the same as Domaine de la Romani Conti. Leave this to me. Here, look, it says Domaine de la Romani Conti. I can't read it. It's French. I can't read it. You see, the domain is the vintner. We call a sake brewer in Japan. In France, the domain that produces the best quality wine is this DRC. Among their signature wines, the most famous top grade wine is called Romani Conti. Well, anyway, bring them the 1999 Richebourg and I'll explain. All right, now you read the customers here.
Nothing doing. You may be in the beer biz, but you can't order beer here. But of course, CEO. Right? Yes. Wine. Anyway, the Romani Conti's late. Sure is.
I apologize for the wait. Unfortunately, I'm afraid we don't carry Romani Conti. But this 99, I think that's me, sir. Yeah. But this 99 vintage Richebourg from the same Domaine de la Romani Conti, is that all right?
Richebourg. Richebourg. Oh, yes. Fine. Romani Conti.
Oh, no. Some of our guests do make that mistake, but this wine is called Richebourg. Romani Conti is a different...
Mistake. I've built my fortune on sake.
I'm terribly sorry. What a mess. How do I explain? We can't have him telling people that he's had a Romani Conti here for 90,000 yen.
Forget it. Just pour, okay?
All right. Pardon me then. Slice. Oh, and I should let's get this a nice fuller screen. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay, yes, I am sharing. Okay, good. She sniffs it. Good. Not bouchon, and it's well preserved. Bouchon is I'm assuming the French word for cork taint. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
What is this? It's rough and sour, nothing like the Ramone Conti I had before.
What? Really?
Hey, little girl, are you a real Somalia? You bring me this bogus wine and call it Romani Conti. Call your boss.
I'm very sorry, but it's not Bouchon. I mean,
If
Court.
that's what you think, try it yourself.
What? 99 Burgundy is generally supposed to be good. I haven't had it much because of the cost, but the DRC I idolize shouldn't fail to impress. Oh, nice scent. The taste must also be mild. Whoop. Is this the world-renowned DRC's Richebourg? What?
There, see? It's written all over your face. What's with you, man? I won't have this fake stuff. Get me a better wine at your own expense.
Sir, the buying cost alone is near 60,000.
Don't try to put one over on me. You're looking at the founder of a pub chain. When it comes to sake, a little girl Somalia like you.
Sommelier. And then
Yeah.
and a little hand comes out with, of course, the sound effect, because that's what happens when you move your limbs anywhere, in any way, in a anime or a manga. And this is you. This is your main character.
Sommelier, the decanter.
Yes, here it is.
And
question mark and silence, and he begins to pour.
Trickle, trickle, trickle.
Ah, what the heck? And as we can see, this crazy thin pour into a decanter. Amazing. He can decant from that height. It's the length of your decanting.
Exactly.
All right. The wine droplets formed a line straight as a thread of scarlet silk. It danced into the spout. In my experience with wine, I'd never before seen such divine decanting. With young wines, one that weren't bottled very long ago, transferring them to a decanter before drinking sometimes brings out their potential. But a simple transfer isn't enough for the greatest, most delicate wines. In order to preserve the aroma, flavor, and complexity, the wine must be poured as fine as a silk thread. By the way, folks, that's bullshit, but it's a manga. We're going to go with it. Think of it as their superpowers in the manga, right?
There you go.
His decanting was delicate yet bold. See, this is like the 50 Shades of Grey for the wine crowd.
It really
This
is.
is yeah.
It is so self-indulgent.
It's so fanfic for wine people. His decanting was delicate yet bold, and so elegant it dazzled. And this is, you're both the CEO and Kanzaki here.
Here you are, Mr. CEO. You want me to drink it? What's so different? What's this now? That's one fine scent, just like a flower.
And gulp.
Ah, how is it, Mr. CEO? Good. It's mild and has a body totally different from what I drank before. Hey, pour mine too.
The aroma reaches all the way over here. Amazing. It's good, all right. How? So this is DRC Richebourg, the scent of 100 flowers.
So, rookie, what'd you do? Put something funny in it? Of course not. I just transferred the wine into the decanter. That alone can change the flavor. That is how wine works.
Twitch.
Hey,
I'll do the customers here now.
Oh, there we go.
You do the CEO and Kanzaki. I'll do everyone. Hey, that's no way to talk. You're in for it.
You sure know a lot about wine. Guess you were laughing at me all along, at my act all along. No, I had no such intention. Ah, I feel lousy. I'm leaving. Don't want any food. Let's hit a club.
And I
Yes,
like,
sir.
and now all of a sudden he picks up his bag and he's a lowly peon. And yup. Sir, thank you for what you did just now. You really saved me.
Ah, it was nothing. Actually, I upset our client. I'll probably get scolded back at the company.
Would you like to have this Richebour?
It would
It
be
would
a
be a
shame to
shame to
waste.
waste it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, such a splendid wine. So I think that's me.
Oh yeah. Nah, you can have it if you like. It's my policy to never drink wine. I mean, I work for a beer company.
No way! That was the first time I've ever seen decanting like that. In one moment, that stiff Richebour released its scent like a firm bud opening. God.
Yeah.
It was just like magic. No one
No
who
one.
doesn't
Oh,
drink
yeah.
could work. I think that's me still.
Yeah.
I'm praising him still. No one who doesn't
Oh yeah.
drink wine could work such a miracle. He's just quiet about that, playing it coy.
Uh, but it's true. Well, you could say I don't have good memories of wine. I hate it. Bye.
Wait! Apprentice
Uh,
sommelier Miyabi Shinohara. If you have the chance, please come back. I'll treat you to some wine as a thank you.
okay. It's a date then. Yeah,
Could
go.
you give me your name too?
Oh, right. My card.
And he hands over a card that says Taiyo Beer. Kanzaki? Yo, Kanzaki, enough flirting.
Sorry. See ya.
Kanzaki. Oh, the same characters. Could he possibly be related to the world famous wine critic Yutaka Kanzaki? She stares at the wine, tastes it again, and 100 flowers. I love it. And I do love the TV show pulls this shit as well, where people sip a glass of wine and boom, they're transported to a whole vista, like
I
a
like
new
that.
reality. Yeah, it's
I
fun.
like that.
And then she has to sit down.
Feel the
Field of
flowers.
flowers.
That's hilarious.
Then over at Taiyo Beer headquarters. Sales section 1. So, Kansaki, I hear you screwed up again. You really ain't cut out for sales. Let's both go into advertising.
Shut up. Get off my case.
Kanzaki,
Yes, Mr. Hama.
don't be like in very, very tiny print. His pal says, don't be cold, man. Pushing me away. Come with me. And this is you.
Conference room 3. A transfer? Is this because I pissed off that bald CEO last night? If that's it, I'll apologize. I'll go apologize.
It's not.
Then
You're going to our new wine division.
is it my dad?
Yeah, it's you.
Is it my dad? He set this up?
Don't be stupid. But the decision wasn't unrelated to your father, being a world famous wine critic.
This isn't his doing. What does it have to do with him? I know nothing about wine. That's not what
That's
the board.
That's not what the board thinks.
There we go. Jeez.
Yeah. I know.
Forget.
It can be hard.
I always forget the transition.
I think that's why they shaped the balloon slightly different.
Yeah.
So you could kind of, yeah. Anyway.
I always forget.
You were raised by Yukata Kanzaki, whose influence affects wine prices around the world. Even I don't believe you could be a total novice when it comes to this. The truth is, your father trained you, right?
He did train me till I was sick of it. But Mr. Hama, please listen to me. Since I was a kid, I had to snack on weird nuts and drink tons of wee tea. For wine, he said. Plus, he'd have me sniff leather belts for an hour and lick knives and pencils to learn the flavors. What's the point of that? I'd.
That's awful. That's awful. I'd get fed up too.
Fact is, I've never even drunk wine.
That's why you got work at a beer company.
But
But
why
why
weed?
weeds and leather, let alone knives and pencils?
No idea. My dad never gave me a reason. Anyway, my life is my own. His little wine hobby ends with him.
Well, you're still not cut out for sales. Out of the goodness of my heart, I'll haggle with HR to get your transfer canceled. Let me know what post you want by next Monday. little heart coming out of him.
I know.
There we go. So sensitive. There we go.
Ah, what a relief from Dad. Now that's unusual. Hello? A woman? Sorry, wrong. Wait, it can't be.
Okay, yeah, keep going.
Is this Yutaka Kanzaki's phone? Yes, it is.
It
Okay,
is.
there we go.
Is this Shizuku? I'm Kiru, his attorney.
Attorney? Why do you have my father's cell?
Well, I'm afraid.
What?
Then off to Shinohara, which is yeah, that's the last name because this is Miyabi Shinohara is the sommelier that we met earlier.
Right.
And here she is in obviously kind of a blind tasting with A and B labeled bottles. Well, Natsuke, and you go ahead and be Natsuke here. Well, Natsuke, which one's better?
Ooh, wait a minute, Miyabi. Let's see, they're both average?
Well, yeah, but they're good for the price range. Okay, which would you prefer to drink? Also, tell me whether it's sweet, sour, bitter, or sharp. And strong or weak.
I wouldn't know. I'm not a sommelier. I'm still, well, what's her?
I'm still in training myself.
I guess if I had to pick B, a little weak though. A seems really sharp and sour, and the scent's kind of faint.
That's what I thought.
What? They're the same? I thought they tasted different.
No, look closer. 2 vintages. That means they were made in different years. This one is 00, and this one was made with 99 grapes.
Oh, well, what's the difference?
Well, the quality of wine depends on the year the grapes were grown, and it matures according to how long it's aged in the bottle. The taste deepens while the acidity and tannin, the sharpness, mellow, and the wine becomes balanced and tasty.
This is so indulgent, so just this is fan fiction for wine.
Yeah. It does get, I will say, because this is volume 1 and chapter 1 of volume 1.
Oh, this is onboarding.
Super
this
duper introductory.
Onboarding. Yes.
It gets a little bit better, but I mean, it stays histrionic about everything wine. I mean, it really is 50 Shades of Grey for wine. But okay, so go ahead.
Oh, so older is better. But that's funny. The one I thought wasn't so great is the older one, the 99.
Yeah, that's what's difficult, but also interesting about wine. You see, Burgundy in France had a generous crop of grapes in 99. It was top grade vintage for winemaking. On the other hand, 2000 was rainy and the grapes were a little lacking. All these differences are due to the fruit that was used to make the wine.
So funny. That's even weirder.
Yeah.
Based on what you said, the wine I'd choose was made with inferior grapes. It ought to be even less tasty.
Exactly. In fact, the 99 wine is far superior to the 00. Before I explain, compare these two.
Okay. Huh. This one seems kind of flimsy. Now the other
Now
one.
the other one, and she tastes that.
Yum. This one's pretty good. Which is which?
The weak one is the 00 wine you chose before. The one you just called good is the 99, which you'd said was sour and rough.
Really? They're both totally different. Why did they change so much after being poured into these flasks?
The flask is called a decanter. It opens wines. It's a tool that exposes wines to the air and further matures them for drinking. I just poured both wines into decanters in the same way. The 00 wine lacked spirit all along, but it was drinkable when it was just opened. When decanted, though, it oxidized instead of maturing and got stale. The scent and body withered like a wilting flower. In contrast, this 99 wine was made of good grapes and had higher potential. It was still closed after uncorking, and you thought it was bad. But when the decanter let it blossom, we were able to fully enjoy its authentic flavor. This mid-grade wine, so it opened. This is mid-grade wine, so it opened even with my crappy decanting. But higher level wines require greater mastery. Yes, like last night. This is so like a wet dream. Like last night. Oh, his almost divine decanting released that stiff, chained up Richebourg and turned it into a field of flowers blooming in full glory. Heart.
That is so funny.
Whoa, what are you doing? Don't hog just the 99.
Where are we?
Then
Why
that's you.
not?
Oh, why not?
Oh, whatever for helping. I haven't had
I
any
haven't
yet.
had any yet. Now on to the next news. Today at 1 p.m., renowned wine critic Yutaka Kanzaki died of pancreatic cancer at his Tokyo residence. He was 67. What? Mr. Kanzaki was... Kanzaki residence. Young master.
Mr. Yoshida, what happened? Nobody told me Dad was sick.
That was Mr. Kanzaki's wish.
Who are you?
I'm the one you spoke to on the phone. Ryoko Kiryu, attorney. Mr. Kanzaki demanded that under no circumstances must you be told of his illness.
Huh? My first time home in 2 years for this? And I was his only family. Anyway, I'll go see my dad.
And
Oh,
he goes to see his dad.
covered, of course, in a sheet, as is tradition. Dad. This smell. He was drinking? Right to the bitter end.
There was... Oh, no. That's you. Yeah.
A wine he very much wanted to drink at the end of his life. It's from Burgundy, France, a wine called Richebourg from the village Vosne-Romani. What kind of wine is it?
Oh, no. What kind of wine it came first? Then it's from Burgundy, France. Gotta go down.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah. Right
we're
to
manga.
left. Right to
Right.
left. I know. Yeah. But a wine called Richebourg from the village of Vosne-Romani. And this is still you, I think.
When he first visited France after college, he happened to visit a domain and tasted this. It was what awakened him to the wonders of wine, as I recall from his writings. The vintner, Henri Gère, he's known as the god of Burgundy wine. He's now in his 80s and retired, but he was in his 40s then at his peak.
Grab. And he marches off with the wine and
Pancreatic
pours it.
cancer. Damn, wine. It could only shorten his life. Yet here he was drinking this, not even letting his own son see pass.
Yeah. And we get a tender moment. Tears pouring and wine pouring at the same time. And later, here.
What is this?
The will. To Shizuku from your father.
Dad?
Flip. The drops of God.
God. Drops of God.
Yep. And then standing outside is another person who is also holding the same, the drops of God. And that is end of chapter 1, people.
Very good.
Yes. And this guy is going to be, as we mentioned earlier, the challenger for
foil.
The
yeah.
Foil.
Rival.
And in the TV show, he is also a wine. He is also a wine critic. He was very much the true protege of the dad. Whereas so it's the son versus the protege.
It's the blood versus the protege. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's fun because all the training, as the son mentions, like my dad made me, like the dad kind of not secretly isn't the right word, but the dad forced his son to develop an amazing palate when he was a kid, by making him taste everything and discern everything and smell everything and blah, blah, blah. So even though he hasn't drunk any wine, he winds up being like, his senses are kind of amazing.
He has the skill.
Mildly superhuman, especially because he made it all happen when because most people don't get into wine, obviously, because of drinking ages, right? You're not able to even start until you're much older. And then it's only later that, so he's sort of the kid who was doing gymnastics at 5 years old versus the guy who started at 16 but continued with it, whereas the 5-year-old stopped at 15, but there's still so much still baked into him that he can he has a chance, he has to struggle a lot more, and he's nowhere near as pompous or pretentious as the protege, who is currently, now with the passing of the dad especially, I think he pretty much is the most influential Japanese wine critic currently living. So that's sort of the story. The TV show
is fan fiction is the TV show anime?
No, it's live action.
It's live action. What? What?
Yep. It is it's in Netflix fashion, even though this is an Apple TV show, they pulled a page from Netflix where it's so multicultural in terms of all the actors from all the different countries they keep pulling in, that it's like, I think they're hedging their bets to like get action in all these different countries from it. But the TV show, the one thing that is weird that the TV show does, that I'm not sure where they're going with it, and this is in episode 1, so this is not giving away anything. But the son, which in the show is a daughter, right? They make her have an allergy to wine.
All right.
And that does not, I'm on volume 4 of the manga now, and episode 2 of the show, and that does not exist. If that is a subplot somewhere in the manga, I don't know when it's supposed to come up, but the son in the manga does not start off this whole thing with any sort of allergy or medical issue with wine, whereas in that one, she basically, like, when she drinks wine, like a sip of wine, if she swallows it, it's like she gets a massive nosebleed, which is hysterically manga anime, right? The nosebleed thing is like a trope there, which is a weird trope, but it only exists in manga and anime. But she gets a nosebleed and passes out every time. So I'm like, fascinating, but why and where are you going with this? And I don't know yet, because I'm only 2 episodes in. But that's one of the main. But aside from switching up the genders and switching out the main, like making more characters not Japanese, but making them all like from all over the world. That, and then the weird allergy against wine, which I'm like, that's really curious. We'll see where it goes.
That's something.
But this one, oh yes, this one for me, I think, because, the one thing the blending lab, so volume 1 is all about this Richebourg wine, right? And all about these French wines that are all Pinot Noir is what they are. Like they're all Burgundy. They're all Burgundian Pinot Noir wines. And the blending lab doesn't really have any Pinot Noir. They did once upon a time. It's all sold out. And Pinot Noir is a grape that is notoriously, you don't blend it. You don't blend it with anything. It doesn't work well with others.
That's true.
Stands on its own.
It's the star of the show.
It is. You blend it with other Pinot Noirs. You can blend different vineyards of Pinot, different blocks, different clones of Pinot Noir is the big thing. And for those of you, I guess, not very familiar with clones, they're basically siblings of each other. So they're all technically Pinot Noir because there are parents and there are siblings. Parents actually create a different straight up varietal when you put them together. So like Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc created Cabernet Sauvignon when they created the child. But then once you create that Cabernet Sauvignon, and I'm sure there are clones of Cabernet Sauvignon as well, but for Pinot Noir is one of those that it's famous for having, mostly because you never blend it with anything else. People know about the clones, and there are dozens of primary of like well planted everywhere clones, and hundreds, I'm sure, all around. But it's clones are basically your siblings, where it's like, no, you're all from the same, you're not a new thing. You are still Pinot Noir, no question. But just like how one brother and another brother aren't really the same person, right? It's like they express themselves very fucking differently from each other. Even though if you took a DNA test, they'd be like, no, you're exactly the same. You're from the same genetic stock. There's nothing that actually separates you on that genetic level. And yet you're still individuals. That's what clones are like. They are distinct from each other in flavor and style, but they are still 100% Pinot Noir. There's no difference there between them. And so, there is no Pinot Noir at the blending lab, so I couldn't go really specific on Drops of God, but this is one of those mangas and stories that is really a lot about the depth and complexity that wine can give, right? And finding that almost like metaphysical, soulful spirit, like, that larger than life element to wine that is the way it even expresses how wine expresses itself is almost ridiculous, because it's so like mind-blowing, and it's like there's all these things going on and you can't. So I wanted to pick where Mr. Lightbulb, I wanted something that had more than one facet to it, but I also wanted something that had a simple facet to it, like fruit forward, but then with a little bit of something more, but mostly fruit forward. It needed that simplicity. For Drops of God, as histrionic as it is, it's all about so much going on with the wine that they're talking about, with what they're trying to say about the wine, but then also it's a manga. This thing is 40 plus volumes, 200 plus page volumes long. There is so many characters, so much going on. It's going to explore, I get the sense, everything about the world of wine before it's over. It would probably be a great educational experience for anyone who wants to learn about wine. And so I wanted to pick a wine that had that that almost undefinable something to it. And for me, you have not had this, Dallas, because you had to jet off to the East Coast before they released it, but it's one of their new releases. It is a Grenache Petite Syrah GPS that they put out.
Oh, I tried the GPS. I tried it the last time I was there. He had a bottle of it.
Did he have? Oh, that's right. But it wasn't. It was before the big. That's right. So they have. It is 75% Grenache, 25% Petite Syrah. So it's mostly a Grenache with a little bit of Petite. And this particular Grenache, because they also released a GZ, a Grenache Zinfandel, that is almost a perfect 50-50 blend. And Grenache Zinfandel should be the lighter, fruitier wine, and it's not. It is like a tannic, heavy monstrosity. It's really, they're like, no, it's really interesting. It's like, this Zinfandel was really interesting. This Grenache was really interesting. And they blended together really well, but it's like, it's heavier than a Grenache Petite fucking Syrah, which is one of the heaviest tannic, inkiest, blackest grapes out there. And yet this Petite Syrah did not come out that way. And so it blended in this way where this is gentler. It's more ready to drink now than the GZ, the Grenache Zinfandel. And for those of you not familiar with the blending lab, they have this beaker shape and they put the blend as almost like a chemistry equation here. So it's like the GPS, the GZ, whatever. So this is the GPS for 2020 and it's drinking beautifully already. I think the GZ needs some time. It needs to mellow. Whereas this one, even though the GPS sounds like something that should be the one that needs more time versus a Zinfandel Grenache blend, this is the one that when you drink it, even now, I would have an impossible time telling you what was in this bottle in terms of varietals. It's so interesting.
I did.
Yeah. And it creates something, it's its own beast. And so it's one of those that really, I think it's so indicative of what wine can do and be in that way that it's always surprising, like the sheer fucking variety because of what's out there and how different all the varietals, all the different terroirs, all the different areas, locations, winemaking styles, and then you can even blend between them. And it never ends. And it's incessantly surprising and incessantly impressive and surprising. So for a thing like Drops of God, and especially Volume 1, which is all in its intro, and you're just getting into this world and it's all new and it's all crazy and it's all mind-blowing. And, it needs something that represents that soulfulness, but it also needed something that wasn't too like, you didn't want a wine that was so challenging that you couldn't take in something like a first volume of a brand new thing like a manga. Like it needed to go along, and it is whimsical and fun and over the top, like Mr. Lightbulb in its way, right? I mean, it's a manga, and manga is like that. It's like it's a cartoon on paper, and so even though it's very self-serious, it's also not that self-serious.
Right.
So you need both of those things in what you're drinking. And this new GPS, this was that for me. I feel like the GZ is all seriousness. And so it's too much. Whereas the GPS has that gentle up touch to it. And then also expresses that like, I can't define what makes this so good yet. I've only had it a little bit. It just came out. I've only had like a bottle of it, but it's and this is your bottle, by the way. So I'm sitting on it, but that I'm sitting on until you come back from the West Coast. I will not open it, I promise. But it is tempting, but I won't. But it is, this is the one that for me was that. And so that's my recommendation to the Blending Lab folks and for this wine club right now, or find something of that nature to go along with Drops of God.
So it's something that it's not so complex that you need to sit and constantly mull over what's the components, but it is something you just sort of sit with in the back of your palate and allow to open up.
It's not easy to describe. It's not easy to define, even though you don't have to work hard at it.
Right.
If
you allow it
like
to
if someone
open up
was
on
like
its own over time.
Right. Right. If someone was like, give me the tasting notes, give me everything, I'd be like, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'd be stumped. Right. I'd be like, okay, now I have to think about it. Fuck you. It's like, now you're making me work too hard, but you don't have to work that hard while drinking it. It's really good, easy, but pleasant. I mean, like, you're just like, oh, this makes me happy. Let's keep reading and let's just keep sipping this.
Satisfying, intriguing, but not befuddling. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Good.
All right. Cool.
All right. Beautiful.
And that, my friends, that is the second. We're going to probably post these separate as two different videos, one reading then the next. But that is the end of both. So signing off, and we hope to see you in the club this summer. We will have different books every month. We will be doing these readings every month,
Lots of
because
wine.
this was a lot of fun. We got to do this more. This might even become something we put into our primary episodes when we just bring the comics on. Like, let's read the comic. Fuck it. This is fun. This is fun.
You're speaking from you have to keep in mind, people, these are two guys who do have musical theater or theatrical backgrounds, so anytime we get to flex a little reading muscle, a theatrical muscle, we're kind of we're all on board. So
100%. But yes, different these are going to be the June graphic novels, then we'll have July and August. That's the plan anyways. This might change, but that's what I'm saying while we're recording this.
You're right.
And that's the end for now. See you this summer.
All right, guys. Ciao.